Hey guys, how's it going? This is Cards of the Heart, and this is Tetris Attack V-Hard mode done one-handed thanks to the help of this handy-dandy little one-handed controller, the ASCII Stick Super L5 by ASCII Corporation. This has L and R shoulder buttons on the face, as well as selected start and the D-pad, and on the back is where you get the A, B, X, and Y button. So for this GDQ submission, I'm going to be doing this run with just one hand, thanks to this controller, though I am open to making a bid war to use the original SNES controller if desired, because that is something I have also done before. So without further delay, make sure I press the right button here. Right. Let's get into a new game here. And I know this level select screen says hard mode, but the dark red background tells you that it's in a harder mode, and there is a command that you entered to enter this mode. Regular hard mode would just have an orange background. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get this started. I'll start by talking about the basic mechanics of this game. As you might be able to tell from this layout, this is a match 3 puzzle game. You line up 3 panels of the same color in a row and they will disappear, but you can match more than 3 at a time to make combos, or have sets of 3 fall into each other like so to make chains. And what you try to do in the speed run is to arrange many sets of combos and chains together in order to top your opponent off full of these garbage blocks and keep them from being able to make a move. And in a one-handed environment, that may be a bit of a task. Fortunately, that first stage was done decently well, all things considered. This controller is not really meant for games with high actions per minute like this game can be, so my mobility in this game is a lot more hampered compared to what I would normally be used to with Tetris Attack. So I'm having to plan out a lot more chains in advance. You can see what kind of movement I'm trying to make in order to make these stages work. Somehow I made that stage work with what I was given, but it requires a lot of advanced planning in order to do some of these early stages well, at least. For some reason, it feels like it will get easier as time goes on, because I might be able to get away with sending less chains to these opponents in order to cover them up, but it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for the moment. But the general tactic as far as the normal speed run for this game is that I like to start with a combo, like a 5 in a row, a 6 in a row, and then try to make anywhere between an X5 and X6 chain full of the thick garbage blocks in order to get a nice little balance. This run is usually best done when you are able to send 2 rows of garbage blocks at the same time instead of 1. If you can send 2 at a time, you will be in pretty good shape. But if you don't send 2 at a time, you can end up in a situation like this, where you're trying to clear panels and your opponent's trying to clear panels, and every set of panels they clear means you have to clear more, and it just becomes a very, very vicious spiral. But yeah, Poochie kind of messed things up a little bit there for me, but I could have helped myself just a little bit. Now we get into Flying Wiggler, and at this point I should probably point out that this game has 12 stages in it, and each stage gets progressively faster with its CPU movement, so I gotta have to move a little bit in order to keep up with everything. Fortunately, these foes don't move all that fast right now, and they're not even all that smart for this portion of the game. These foes don't even know how to make chains, and for most of this difficulty, they're not going to know how to make chains at all. These foes scan top to bottom, left to right, looking for basic 3-in-a-row matches, and that doesn't really do anything for you in this game. It's the combos, the 4, the 5-in-a-rows, the 6 at a times, like there, and the chains like that. That was a really snazzy chain, actually. Those are kind of hard to pull off with just one hand. But it's those combos and chains that let you do all the damage in this game. They send all the big garbage blocks to your opponents. 3 in a row doesn't really do anything for you, and for whatever reason, these foes were never programmed with the ability to do that. So fortunately, I can get out of this stage with little trouble with a 29-second time. In a perfect world, all of these stages would finish in about 20 to 25 seconds, but that's under ideal circumstances, and working with a one-handed controller like this, just attempting to do this one-handed is far from ideal, so you're getting a lot of 30 and 40 second stages, as it tends to be with this category. But at least I haven't lost yet. There are plenty of times where I could be susceptible to getting topped out by the later opponents, especially because they start moving really fast. And there's another quirk about them that I will get into in a little bit. But so far, about 5 minutes in, that would not be an awful pace for a normal run for most people. A little disappointing for my standards, but my standards are weird. I mean, I had the world record in this category two-handed for the longest time, and I'm still currently second place on the speedrun.com leaderboard. But considering the inherent difficulties that go with a controller like this, I don't think things are going all that bad at the moment at all. And I should probably point out something with this controller that may not be apparent at first glance, but it is a really, really tiny controller. Even for my tiny hands, this controller runs around just a little bit. Oh, that was a nice chain right there. That was me timing the swap on when the stack was about to fall, and I think that's a frame perfect switch to do that without registering a match early. And this game runs at 60 frames per second, so I think that was a 1/60th of a second maneuver. There's not a lot of precision allowed with this controller, it seems. But one of the difficulties I have had with this controller that may not be apparent at first glance is that this controller is tiny. Even for my tiny hands, this controller gets loose in a lot of situations. So I have to anchor this to a chair in order to feel really, really good about my control over it. Like, you don't really appreciate it is to have two hands on a controller until you only have the ability to use one. That second hand really is best for grip more than anything else. So that's created quite a bit of an issue in trying to learn how to do this with one hand. But no, that first part of the run went just fine. Now we get into the Cave of Wickedness, and these foes actually know how to chain. You will see Hookbill here actively try to set up lots of chains, and it's going to be a bit of an issue to deal with. Fortunately, Hookbill's not doing too much right now. Like, he can usually go off for like X6, X7, X8. He gets kind of insane with the chains, and if I could move fast enough in the beginning, I could possibly get away with sending a little bit less to him, because these foes at the end of the run here get really, really aggressive with raising their stacks. And you can sometimes catch them off guard by sending a really, really quick set of combos and chains, like usually a 5 combo, a 4 combo, a 3 or 4 chain. Some of these foes can be dispatched in a little under 20 seconds sometimes if you time the sending of your garbage right. In fact, there was one stage where I beat the next opponent after this in 7 seconds once. That just goes to show how aggressive these foes can be. So here we are at Naval Piranha Plant right now. This is not PD. I don't know how many people have come to my streams of this game and wanted to call him PD, but no, it's not PD, it's Naval Piranha Plant. These characters are based on Yoshi's Island, and I always thought that was a questionable decision to use these characters to market this game. This game was localized at a point when overly Japanese things were thought to not be able to sell very well. So Tetris Attack was not actually the original form of this game. This game was originally released in Japan under the title Panel Depon, and featured lots and lots of fairies instead of Yoshi's Island characters. Oh my goodness, an 8 chain? I don't get to set up big chains that often, but it's become more paramount to do just that, as I can't seem to get the quick chains out all that often. But yeah, it was originally thought that the fairies that were in the original Panel Depon were not going to sell, so it was decided to reskin this game with Yoshi's Island characters instead. And you know what? Maybe it sold well enough to eventually get Pokemon Puzzle League on the N64, my favorite Puzzle League game of all time, made, so maybe I shouldn't be questioning it too much. But here we go with Bowser, the final boss of the run. Bowser is definitely the fastest and definitely shows off his speed very, very often, and I'm not finding a great start to this. Ooh, 10 combo. That's very inventive. But Bowser has definitely brought the pain early on. I need to get moving a little bit faster in order to get through this. Oh, come on. Like, I'm trying to raise the stack as much as I can in order to give myself more options. But sometimes raising the stack is dangerous if you don't have anything in place to address the garbage that comes out. Ugh, shoot. I didn't have any way to address the garbage, and of course, it took 12 stages, but I finally have taken an L in one of these fights. It's a lot more common than you might realize when you're trying to do this for the first time. Like, I had so many struggles with this, trying to learn how to do it in one hand. Alright, this is looking a lot better. A lot shorter chain. Bowser's stack is a lot higher when doing it, and now Bowser might be in trouble. Oh, that looks to be it. Oh, you might be able to get that down. No, that's time. There we go. 12 minutes, 29 seconds. Really not so bad at all. Like, that's about what my runs tend to end up of this game. Usually in the 12 to 15, 16 minute range. Thus, the estimate has been set at 20 minutes. I think edobean has an 11-minute run somewhere on her Twitch channel, and if she would be willing to race this category with me, she also has an ASCII stick Super L5 that she used to play this game one-handed with. I would be more than honored to go on that ride alongside her and try to revive a little bit of an SGDQ 2016 rematch of sorts. But there we have it for Tetris Attack, very hard mode, done one-handed. And trust me, whether it's a race or a solo run, our puzzle crew will travel and give some really, really hype commentary for this game, so look forward to that. If you took the time to watch this video in its entirety, then I really appreciate you sticking around and giving this game your full consideration. So until next time, everyone, thanks for watching.